Hello, guided ones. Yes, let's talk about emotional freedom technique or tapping. Um, so good. It's so good because this is you don't need any special equipment. You can literally do this anywhere, except for when you're driving or sleeping, or maybe some other things that you might be doing. But for the most part, this is something that is just so user friendly. It's so effective, and you can use it anywhere. And there's no special equipment or prior knowledge that you need to just start doing it right after you watch this quick tutorial. All right. So it's always remembering, we're always being guided back to the truth of who we are, the divinity within us. Tapping is just one of the multitude of ways that you can do this as a practice. All right. So we can use it to shift our state of mind, the state that our body is in. It uses natural lines of energy that run through everybody's physical body. You might have heard this when you've learned about acupuncture, if you've done it, or shiatsu, even really working with those lines, those chi energy lines that move through your body, and it's there to really connect us into our body and really connect us our mind and our body together, right? It's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. So, when do you want to use this? Like, really, any time, but here are some best practices and when it might be a good time to use tapping, because you may have many tools that you can use, and which one to use where is something that we think about. So, nurturing new beliefs. When you're really scaffolding and building a new set of beliefs that's going to actually really support you and help to support all the other parts of you and bring them together and integrate into your vision, that is where you can use tapping. You can use it when you're healing and working directly with a part. You can bring deeper awareness to your vision by kind of like clearing any sort of energy in your body, any energy in your mind, and just kind of like a little windshield wiper, just kind of clearing things away so that you can really recognize the level of clarity that actually does exist in you. Tapping can help with that. It can help when you're achieving new goals or outcomes that you're looking to really get, even from something small as looking around your room and going, oh, this space needs help, and you feel so cluttered. And so you can use tapping for that type of a goal too. Any sticky energy in your body, as well as any physical pain, like a headache. All right. Tapping points, we want to keep in mind that these are guides. So these tapping points, when you go through the very top of your head and you work your way down through the points to underneath your arm where your bra line is, when you go through all of these, that's a sequence, right? It's a whole sequence. Okay. And the way that you can also start any tapping, it's optional too. So I've done sequences where I do the karate chop on the right hand side there. And that's a way to open up your ritual or your practice, is to do some karate chop on both sides. So you can tap into those. You don't have to. But if you really find, I really want to get into my body for this, you can do the karate chop. So just where your knuckles are here, and then where your wrist begins, right in the middle is that point. Okay. All right. So tapping points, let's go through this really quickly because it's something that you're just going to muscle memory and you're going to learn as you go. So you start at the top of your head and you work your way down. So the top of the head, the next point is the eyebrow, at the very top of your eye, then the side of your eye, then under your eye. So head, top of the eye, side of the eye, under the eye. Then move down to just above your lip and then below your lip on your chin, and then your collarbone, and then right underneath, just kind of where your bra line is. You might find some of these points are sensitive to touch at times. That's okay too. I find that this underarm one can be sensitive. So those are the tapping points. You're working your way from the top down to the bottom. Now I like to teach this in three parts. Okay, I like to teach this in three parts, three different sets of sequences that you're going to run through. The reason for that is because they build on one another for the ultimate outcome of really re-energizing your body, mind, and soul, and getting you into this beautiful mindset that's going to support you in whatever it is you're building inside yourself or externally in your life. So this first sequence, very simply put, is just acknowledging what is. It's speaking the thing that you're thinking, that you're feeling, and it's so, in short, it's speaking your truth. It's saying the thing, and it's doing so unconditional, unadulterated, just very open, taking any masks or filters away and speaking the truth, right? It's really saying the thing. So if you're not sure where to begin because you got lots of things going on, just like we put one foot in front of the other, you can only pick one thing at a time, and you'll know that, one thing often is courted to something else. So like, oh, I'm just feeling overwhelmed, I'm feeling confused, I'm also feeling doubtful, right? So it's like we just need to pick one thing and trust that just zoning in on one thing is enough, and that's what we can do, one thing at a time. The second part of the sequence, and I'm going to go back as we're going to go through all these as one big practice, but the second sequence is now that we have really been in speaking the truth, saying the thing. And so, for example, it could be, I'm afraid I'm going to mess it up. Like, I'm afraid I'm going to mess it up. And so, if that's our truth, our second sequence is going to be holding the contrast, right? And if you're just going to be able to do tapping really quickly, this is the one part of the sequence that I want you to just do. If you're like, oh, I've got 5 minutes, I want to do a bit of tapping, this is the one that you're going to do. So, this is holding the contrast. It's saying, even though this thing is happening in me, I'm afraid I'm going to mess it up. That's where we're leaning into what is. I'm going to lean in. Really, what's happening is I'm afraid I'm going to make a mistake. We need that lean back too, right? We need that other place that we know exists, which is love and deep acceptance. So even though this thing is happening in me, I still love and I accept, I respect myself. So even though this is happening, this is also true. So we're starting to now hold a contrast that's going to just give comfort to the nervous system. So even though I insert whatever the thing is happening in you. So for our example was, I'm afraid I'm going to mess it up. I deeply love and I accept myself. And so for this second part, you're going to run that sequence through a couple of times. Even though I am afraid to mess it up, I still deeply love and I accept myself. And you're just going to keep tapping. You can, if you're doing it for the first time, you might want to tap each tapping point, might be where you say the phrase once. Okay. So even though I'm afraid I'm going to mess it up, I still deeply love and accept myself. Even though I'm afraid I'm going to mess it up, I still deeply love and accept myself. So you're going to tap that through at least once. You can tap it through twice if you'd like. You're going to run all the tapping points. If you find running all the tapping points is a bit too much at the beginning, just pick one point and just tap that one point. I find the ones above and below my lips are very helpful, as well as the collarbone, but you'll find one that works for you. So that's the second place that you're the second sequence. So we're holding the contrast. Even though this thing is happening, there's love happening in me. There's respect. I'm accepting who I am. And so we're practicing acceptance and wholeness every day. The last part is so fun and exciting because now we're bringing into, after we've really honored and spoken the truth and we've honored this love and acceptance that we still have in ourselves, even if there's a part that resists, right? You know that there's going to be resistance. It's okay. Let the resistance be and still hold that place in you that still loves, cares, trusts, supported, all of that. So now on the last sequence, number 3, is we're going to bring in a script of how we want to feel and what we want to believe is true. And again, we can hold this area and still know that there may be a part that resists it. So that's okay too. So this is where we're going to use affirmations, mantras that are like I am statements. Okay. If they're not all I am statements, that's totally fine. It could be something like, I'm fully supported and accepted. I have amazing people in my life that care about me. Um, like I am capable. I am worthy and I can make mistakes. It's safe to be learning and making mistakes. So, on this last sequence, I want you to really trust yourself. I want you to really trust that you know the very thing that all your parts would love to know is true, to help hold you and to really help um, recalibrate your inner world and your frequency. So this last place is where you get to create the magic. We want to affirm what it is we want to believe is true, and we want to affirm that with I am statements as well. Okay, so that last sequence is very important because it honors because it's come from a place of honoring the contrast, which has come from a place of honoring whatever shadow may be emerging, right? And so we're bringing light into what feels dark. And then from there, we're just flooding it with exactly what our system needs to really feel like we can do what we want to be doing and be who we came here to be. So, finally, best practices. Remember, you cannot mess this work up. You cannot mess up tapping. Like if you tap in the wrong order, it's not going to not work, right? It's all about just staying in the body and really trusting yourself in this process. If it helps, write down the statements that you want to be saying in each sequence. That may help just to kind of have it in writing first, right? So that we're not kind of working really hard to remember what order we do and what do we say. So just know the first time you do this, it may just be, I'm just building the practice of tapping. I'm just practicing tapping right now. So write down the statements for each of the three parts. If that helps, or the sequences, trust the flow. Trust if you skip tapping point, no big deal, not a big deal at all. And make sure that you drop into your body here. So you want to make sure that you feel your legs against the furniture, move that awareness up into your thighs, into your belly, into your back. Where is my body in space? So that's tapping. You can use it anytime. And it is such a powerful and easy tool to use to really start reestablishing beliefs that are going to support all parts of you and really establish getting into self. That's it for now. Have a fabulous day.